We, like, literally what happened right before pre-show broke Taylor. Somebody in the chat was like, are you making babies or boba? And like, I thought you were making babies. And somebody said that was a commendable reason for a delay. I promise we are not making babies on the show.
In this economy, please.
Oh, I love it. How's it going? I'm Alex the Humanoid. I'm joined by an elderly purple-haired person, according to our YouTube comments.
It's me. I am the old woman Taylor, or better known as Wildling011. It's good to see you guys.
That was one of the funniest comments that we have received.
Honestly, like, because I have actually come into being comfortable as 30, like,
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I do think it's hilarious because I very much know that if I was younger and just upset at someone's opinion, I probably would have been like, you're old, stop gaming. So like, to have that happen to me now is so great.
It's hilarious.
I didn't even know how to respond to that.
It was just, Pete brought it to me on Monday and was like, because Pete and I, we love Taylor. We generally keep Taylor out of the comment section initially. And so when Pete sees something that may need to be addressed, Pete will bring it to me and say, what do we think? Some stuff Pete's really good about, just being like, nope, that's gone. Nope, that's gone. Some stuff, again, kind of hits a borderline. And so what we do is Pete and I review the comments and how we're going to respond, because there's
the tinderbox.
There's a process here, and we're representing a brand. We're representing a company. This is not our personal stuff.
And we are not Wendy's.
Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is. Don't forget, if you want to look more about what's going on here at Gamers Heaven, go to gamersheavenpnw.com. You can find our event list there. There's a cool now. There's like a flippy thingy. The new calendar looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. We have all kinds of events coming up. We have a Street Fighter 2. We put it into the system. Street Fighter 2 launch day tournament.
Oh, that's exciting.
Launch day.
Bring your slap pads. Let's go.
Okay. On June 2nd, we're going to do some Halo this weekend. That's the plan. So we're going to try and set up a Halo LAN on
We do have lots of
Saturday.
Xboxes for that.
Somebody's in the comments, and I'm going to look at them like, aren't you supposed to be like downing NyQuil and sleeping, Phil?
Yeah, Phil, please go and get better.
Speaking of which, our website and part of this show is brought to you by Durable.co. Durable is who does our web hosting. If you are like an artist or a blogger, or maybe you're doing webcomics, actually webcomics would probably be good too.
Absolutely.
And you want to build your own website, go to Durable.co. With just a few prompts, it will AI generate you a website, and then it gives you a great WYSIWYG editor after the fact to do that. If you want to see an example of what you can do with the website, go to our website, gamersheavenpnw.com, and you can see it there. Also partially brought to you by G Fuel. And you can go to gfuel.com, and if you put in code GamersHeaven, you'll get discounts off your purchases. I think it's 25%.
I think it's 20 to 25%.
And then for Durable, if you use code GHeaven25, you will get 25% off your subscription to Durable, which includes all your web hosting, which is awesome. So, Fuel of G. Yes, indeed.
It is 300 milligrams in the can of caffeine, so please be careful and make sure you're drinking water. I actually had to caution one of our guests here this weekend because they decided to drink 4 of them.
Oh my. Dude, I was
Yes.
talking, before we get into the main topics today, I was talking to another one of our people today.
Oh dear.
Who's one of our regulars who I love to death. And he is one of those guys that will come in and play for the day, right? And over the course of a day, will drink 4 monsters. And I'm like,
how do your kidneys not have stones?
like, you've seen me, I stay away from the G Fuel for the most part. I've sampled some of it, I've tried it. But if I drink an entire can of G Fuel, I'm like,
Yeah. Like, I only do 1 can and that's it.
yeah. And I said one does me a thing. And so I don't know. A can of Monster is 160 milligrams of caffeine. G Fuel is 300.
Yeah.
Even then, that's the equivalent of, so drinking 4 Monsters is equal to drinking 2 G Fuels.
And Monster also does have the sugar and the calorie content where G Fuel doesn't. So I don't know if they're just trying to be like, I don't have any consequences because there's no sugar and calories.
And then Phil did a TikTok with our glitch partners where he put glitch energy into, I think, a Monster.
Yes.
And I was like, oof.
We all called him after the TikTok posted, worried about his heart,
We're like,
including his wife.
Are you gonna die?
So bad.
Hey, look, energy drinks are fun, and G Fuel's one of our partners. But yes, please consume responsibly.
Yes, and speaking of, G Fuel does offer powders where you can actually curate and make sure that you are not consuming too much caffeine as you go about your day. They do have the scoops, and you can do half scoops and whatever you need. Just please make sure you are taking care of yourself and drink enough water to get that stuff through your system because they're diuretics.
And somebody in the TikTok chat said, hey, miss you guys. We miss everybody, too, if you haven't been in to see us lately. And also, if you're not around us or have traveled to see us or anything like that, this is why we do the show. And it's so that you can, still be part of the community. You can be in the chat. You can be in the comment section. And still...
you're still on our minds.
You're still in our minds. You're still part of this. So, yeah, stick around for TikTok. Stick around for YouTube and things like that, which, by the way, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us here on Twitch. If you have a Prime sub, spend Amazon's money and give us money. So use your Prime sub on Twitch.
We'll make up the sub song and dance in
Yes.
our chairs for you. We're not nearly as majestic as Pete is with the sub song dance, but that's okay.
That is
We do our
very, very
best.
true. One Can and I will
too
vibrate through
majestic.
walls and run to see Andrew and then come back. Probably.
Legit.
Taylor knows I am very careful. Look, here's the thing. See this? Coffee. This is my thing.
Yes.
All right. Not nearly as much caffeine as just I can't do it anymore. Also, I can't drink a lot of those things with the taurine.
Yeah, no.
Because in my early 20s, I drank a lot of Jaeger bombs.
I understand.
And so the smell of taurine,
Tore you up?
tears me up. Yes,
it's the same principle as folks with bad Fireball memories, smelling cinnamon and still not wanting that. Yeah.
I'm so glad Fireball wasn't around when I was young. Who's trying to call me from Miami Beach? But go away, Florida. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway.
Okay, so we do have topics today.
We do. Topic number 1. Let's get into it. Topic number 1 is Netflix has announced that the crackdown on password sharing, which we have long seen as a warning, has now commenced in the United States. They've done some test things of this in places like Argentina for reasons that beg our understanding.
Yeah, they've been testing in the Southern Hemisphere for a while.
Yep. And so now they've brought it to the U.S. And so basically what you're going to get is if they catch you password sharing, you can add users to your account for $7.99 a month per user. And if not, they may just ban your account. The streamer has said that the reason for this is that 100 million households that use Netflix worldwide share accounts. That's 43% of its global user base. I am sure that their shareholders are like, hey, there's this whole group of people who are using your service and not paying you for it. Please get money. And so this is how Netflix is doing it. So this would be in addition to your standard prices, which they've now changed.
And raised.
Right. So the ad-supported standard is $6.99 a month. That gives you 2 devices at a time. Basic, which is 1 device at a time but no ads, is $9.99. Standard, which is 2 devices, no ads, is $15.49. And Premium, which is 4 devices at a time, is $19.99 a month. And again, add $7.99 a month for password sharing.
Question. Does this mean that it will be $7.99 a month for another profile to be created?
Basically another user. I think they're tracking it by IP address.
Okay, so then the two devices that are included in that standard plan
are probably just 2 devices at a time still.
But do they have to be at the same IP address, or is it legitimately just a...
That is unclear at this stage.
Oh, fantastic. I love it when there's transparency.
Someone in the chat said, now I have to pay more for a service with no content. Seems legit. I mean, to be fair, Netflix has a lot of content. Somebody did an analysis. In just Netflix originals, somebody said if you watch 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it would take you something like 130 years to watch everything that's been produced on Netflix.
Okay.
So there you go. They're doing this. What are your thoughts on this? Would you actually let's be a little more direct. Would you, let's say, a younger cousin or a younger sibling or a friend who doesn't want to pay the whole thing, would you say, hey, look, kick me $7.99 a month and you can have access to my thing? Do you think that's fair price? You could be honest.
No, but okay, so I think that it might have been a better route to possibly take a page out of Spotify's book and do a like family premium plan instead, which would provide that ability to just like, here's your spot.
So like
here's your
college
spot.
kids
Yeah,
and stuff
so
like that.
College
So like
kids.
your parents are paying for the
folks-
Netflix, but you go to
Yes.
college, so
Yes.
here's your college
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I am on my mom's Spotify premium plan still. It was a Christmas gift to our family. Like
Okay.
it was a really big cool thing.
That's actually kind of a cool gift. Dang,
yeah,
oh,
it was
that's
a really
good.
cool. It's awesome.
That's pretty
I love
solid.
it.
I hadn't even thought about doing that as a gift. Yeah, that's solid.
And she's maintained it this entire time. It's been like almost 9 years now, and it's just been really, really good because we can still like share things back and forth and whatever. I feel like that might have been a better solution to what Netflix is doing. I do feel like because of not only them kind of axing a lot of the content that they haven't created off their platform,
Yep.
right? Added in with them going after password sharing, I am, and don't take this as gospel because I am clearly not an expert in this, but I am foreseeing that there are going to be some significant drops in subscriptions.
I agree with you 100%. So my biggest gripe about this, all right, Netflix, like pay attention, right? $7.99?
Yeah. $3.99 would be more
There you go.
reasonable.
That's what I'm looking for, right? And I'm thinking about like my kiddo, right? And if she was going off to college, which she's not old enough yet, but I'm thinking about my kiddo. If they were like, look, for $2.99, $3.99 a month, you can add her as a separate base user and do that stuff, then yeah, I would say that's a reasonable price, especially considering, let's go back and look here, kids, the base ad-supported tier of Netflix is $6.99 a month. So you're going to make the add-on user thing more than the base ad-supported tier, which I think they actually did do intentionally to push people to just open their own accounts.
I believe so.
And so my guess is, we really want you to just open your own account. So we're going to make it more expensive than the base account by $1 a month.
And
then we get more stuff
into that decision.
and into that ad-supported tier.
I just had a thought. I'm wondering if because of the way that they do their viewer tracking, this is why that they have made that kind of like that push for people just to make their own account, because
it
has been leaked, right, that Netflix counts views on things, first-time viewers, as somebody who creates a new account and what show they go to first.
Yeah, that's the first view metric, which is a really strong metric for a show.
Yes.
All Netflix paid accounts should be ad-free, says the chat. So I'm going to say this. The days of ad-free streaming are gone.
The days of ad-free anything are gone.
And the reason for that is this. What most of the streamers have learned is that due to the cost of hosting all this stuff and the speed at which you've got to do it, I mean, they're having to maintain some very large pipelines out of wherever they're doing their hosting.
Their servers have to be hefty.
In order to have, HD level streaming, right? It's not cheap. And so what I think they learned is that subscription service alone costs, and what people would be willing to pay for a subscription service. Because I'm sure if you were willing to pay $24.99, which is again why I think Netflix's premium tier with no ads is $19.99 a month.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that also includes like 4K streaming, if I'm...
Yep, it does. And so...
You okay over there, Pete?
So it doesn't surprise me. And again, I would guess that the reason they're putting it at the price point they are is to get people to open their own accounts.
Yeah.
That being said, again, I think that the fair thing to do and the reasonable number to throw on this is probably $3.99 a month. Somebody else brought up people deployed military. And yeah, that was actually one of the things that came up during...
There was a lot of outrage about that.
During this whole password sharing, and I actually think this is still going to be an issue now, and I think they're going to get a lot of blowback for this, because if you're deployed and in a spot where you have internet, you should be able to use your own Netflix stuff, but you're not going to be in the same country as your
account.
Right. And the same country as your spouse who is not deployed, or other people.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's beefy.
I was actually, Time Night in TikTok actually brings up a really good point. Pete and I have actually joked about the fact that we've gone through all of this like progress and chest beating about like unplugging from cable and getting away from commercials and all of these things, and now we're just recreating cable.
But it's almost recreating cable with the way that we always kind of hoped cable would be, which is
Possible.
well, everybody always used to gripe. It's like, okay, I pay cable. I used to have cable. I don't anymore.
Right.
When you had cable, you get cable for the 9 channels on cable that you would watch, and then there's these 70 other channels that you don't give a crap about.
Right.
And everybody was like, why don't we have a system where we could just pick and choose? That's basically what
system.
The streaming has become, that cable bundling system that we all kind of wanted for a long time. And yeah, cable has ads too. You know,
that's true.
This is how these guys think. They should give service members deployed free Netflix. It'd be a huge PR win. It would be. They won't.
They won't because it's money. However,
it's expensive.
It would be like that in itself would very much, one, it would help with stress reduction for the troops, and 2, it would actually look very good on them.
Yeah, the issue is,
especially for most people who
the biggest issue there is verification. That's really the hardest part. Is, are you actually deployed? We don't know.
Right.
When I was deployed last time, my platoon bought satellite internet. Right, and so we bought a huge dish and then a receiver and everything else, and we split it up as a platoon. It was very expensive, but once you broke it to like 40 guys, it was cheaper. And we ran our own Cat 5 cable, digging trenches to each of our chews and things like that. But the IP address showed us in Germany. So when you went to Google, you actually went to google.de because that was where the base station was that we were getting from Eurosat.
Yep.
Right, and so that was the issue, is that we were deployed to northern Iraq, and it thought we were in Germany.
I mean, when I was in Germany, it actually thought that I was over in like the UK for the longest time.
I also don't know how this is going to work with VPNs.
Yeah, that will be very interesting to see, especially considering there is a huge rise in the use of VPNs just in general, which I don't blame anybody for.
Yeah.
So as VPNs become more mainstream and you can put them on just about any device, doing that with Netflix and trying to cut that for password sharing would be very interesting.
Yep. So I think it's going to take probably about a quarter or 2, but I'm curious to see what happens to Netflix subscriber base after this. Good luck, Netflix. And that's where we'll leave that one. By the way, if you're in chat, either on TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch, which we are streaming on all of them simultaneously now. Thank you, Producer Pete, for getting all that technical stuff figured out. And Producer Pete really is great at his job. He figured out how to do, again, we are tri-streaming now.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's the simulcast straight from GHPNW.
But if you would like to have us talk about a topic at the end of the show, drop it in any of the chats. Let us know what you'd like to chat about. If there's something you saw in the news or something you saw in tech stuff that you were like, hey, I want to know what you guys think about this. In tech, gaming, video games, any of that stuff, drop it in the chat. Producer Pete will grab it, and we'll hit it at the end of the show.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So leave us your chat concepts. Leave us your story questions in the chat. Okay. Next topic today, Sony's PlayStation Showcase.
It's in an hour.
It's in an hour. Less than an hour. We thought about doing a simulcast of the PlayStation Showcase. Taylor found out that there's actually maybe some copyright and DMCA stuff.
They did put out a warning for anybody who wanted to stream or
simulcast.
Yeah.
To be careful. So we decided to not simulcast the PlayStation Showcase preview, but it is an hour. This is a big one. They had an investor call yesterday, and I'm really curious what's going to happen. What are you looking forward to in particular? Because you are a pretty big Sony stan. You have a lot of PlayStation devices.
I do.
And you love their games.
I know I come off as an Xbox fanboy, but honestly, I do. Like, I grew up with PlayStation. We have multiple PlayStation consoles at our house. And I am so freaking excited to see what they have for Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Yes.
So Spider-Man 2 is near the top of my list.
Spider-Man 2 is coming out too, and I'm very excited for that too.
We're expecting to see some new God of War stuff, which I thought God of War was done. I thought God of War Ragnarok kind of ended that story.
Gotta be a trilogy.
Gotta be a trilogy.
Have you been watching their pattern so far? Because that's how it started.
Also, Taylor was saying in the pre-show that we all think that PSVR 2 may be a big, heavy point of this showcase.
Yes.
Which is...
They introduced the PSVR 2 recently, and the sales have been very, very, looking very good for PlayStation.
Yes.
In general. So
PlayStation has sold really, really well this cycle.
Yes, and I am assuming that with PSVR 2, they're also most likely going to do a hardware update and perhaps introduce, like you said earlier, the PlayStation 5 Pro.
That's the other rumor that's coming out about today, is that we may see the PS5 Pro. We're about the point in the life cycle where we would normally see a Pro console. However,
where's my Slim?
The rumored price on the PS5 Pro being $699, and I'm like, $699.
And you actually expressed this when we were talking about this earlier, where it was like, holy crap, that price for a console. And I reminded you that PS5
was $499.
And that to date was the most expensive console so far.
Dude,
so I suppose they're trend setting in some way.
The PS5 Pro had better have some amazing features for $699.
I hope it makes my toast.
Also, maybe at $699, you'll actually be able to buy one, because the scalpers will have to invest so much more money in order to, kill the market. For those that don't remember or have forgotten, the PS5 launch is, to my mind, the worst launch they had because of the scalper problems. You could not get a PS5 for years.
Yes.
Going into this thingy.
Juice, that is true. TikTok, they just said console's about to cost the same as building a PC with better specs, and yeah, just about. And I won't be surprised if we get up to those prices.
Here's the thing: it used to be that way, and I remember back in, this is probably the mid 2010s, when I used to watch build review videos where they were like, build a PC with better specs than the Xbox One for the same price as an Xbox One. Yep. Right. Oh, yeah. Now that didn't include all your peripherals and stuff like that, but just the base tower, you could do that. Now that graphics cards are not $8 billion anymore.
Right, and we're not going through a chip shortage as well, which was definitely something that was very detrimental. I know somebody asked me to sell my car to them so that they could repurpose the chip in it, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Other chat.
You'll ever get.
Yes.
Other chat say PlayStation exclusives always comes out with bangers. PlayStation really does, and Sony pays
strong.
They pay a lot of money to get those things.
With that said, Sony has also been talking about doing a lot of cross-platform content and porting their exclusives over to PC.
Yes.
So, if you don't want to buy a PS5 or
just
a PS5
wait for it to come
Pro,
out with it on PC and hope that it's better than The Last of Us. Maybe if I could play PS Vita and PSP stuff. That's actually another rumor that's going to be done today, is supposedly their handheld cloud gaming system that they've been talking about may be premiered today.
That's pretty exciting.
Now, again, we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago. One of the rumors is that you have to have a PS5 to even make it work. Right. Which I think is a mistake.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, okay, so I understand why you would need it. It would be kind of like the Wii U, right?
Yep.
Where you would have to have the entire console in order to play on the tablet part. However, the PSP and the Vita also very much made gaming accessible to those who could not afford to have all of the other hardware and consoles at their houses, which is why we had such a great love for it, because you could also play it when you were deployed, when you were traveling, when you were, off at college without having to have a TV and a console and.
And I will say the PSP is, in my opinion, one of the best handheld consoles that ever got released, and I think it got a bad rap at the time. I'm really curious. Somebody else said more dunking on Xbox. Yes, Sony is very good at very hilariously dunking on Xbox. Going back to the here's how you share a game thingy from the E3 many years ago. I actually saw somebody talking about that today. Was the launch of the Xbox One and how bad it was.
That was rough.
It was bad for them at the time.
I stayed away from that console.
Being that this is a PS Showcase preview, I would guess we're going to get a little bit of hardware and a lot of software.
Yeah, I could see that.
Final Fantasy 16 is also rumored to be a big, heavy piece of today.
They also
Possibly the next stage of the Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Yep. I mean, especially with all of the games that they have coming out, they had a short list. Hold on.
Somebody in TikTok, while you're looking that up, chat brought up that they're trying to compete with the Xbox Game Pass cross-plat with PC. That is another rumor about what they're talking about today, is that PlayStation's trying to fix and significantly improve the PlayStation Plus subscription service.
I have opinions about that.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay, so one of the reasons why I actually jumped onto the Game Pass bandwagon, right, is because for so long, I was the only person in my friend group who had a PlayStation.
Okay.
And would play games in tandem with my friends, but I could not actually go cross-platform because Sony has always been very particular about how they manage their servers and manage cross-platform play. And it was for years stated to me that this would never happen and never be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only game that I have encountered personally that has any sort of cross-platform play, and I know this is, please know, it's only based on my experiences, right? Was Genshin.
Yeah.
Genshin Impact,
Mm-hmm.
where you can play on your phone, your tablet, your PlayStation, your PC.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to start expanding on that now, I'm very excited to see. I know that they lowered those walls for Destiny 2 a little bit later.
They did.
Which I, of course, imported my Guardians onto my PC immediately.
Nice.
I'm excited for it, but it is definitely one of those, I only thought I'd see this when hell froze over
Mm-hmm.
kind of situations. I hope that they also start talking about doing cross-platform with the other consoles as well.
Yep. We might do a special Super Show tomorrow. We're going to watch. We'll keep an eye on the PlayStation Showcase after the stream today, and we might do that instead tomorrow. Okay, your game stuff.
Death Stranding 2.
I actually had this conversation with somebody on Monday where Death Stranding 2 is the walking and cutscene simulator,
Yeah.
or Death Stranding 1. I look, mad respect to Hideo Kojima, and
It's a very pretty game.
he's an auteur. He really is.
Mhm.
As far as he is an auteur within the video game industry, and I think that he's that. Norman Reedus, I used to really like Norman Reedus. I don't anymore. He kind of bugs me. Death Stranding 2 holds literally zero interest to me.
I understand.
Did you play Death Stranding 1?
No, but do you know what I did instead?
What?
I spent hours watching Baru on Twitch while he played Death Stranding while walking on a treadmill. So he was walking while he was playing the walking simulator.
Very nice.
And it was so good. That was my favorite.
Somebody said, asked if he's the A24. No, A24 doesn't really do auteur stuff. I mean, I can't, off the top of my head, I'm having a hard time thinking of the filmmaker I'm thinking of when it comes to Hideo Kojima. But, yeah, Hideo Kojima's a dude. What else you got?
So we have Wolverine, Death Stranding 2, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
Looking forward to that.
Horizon and The Last of Us with multiplayer versions are a possibility. They're in the works. And they're also talking about expanding their live service realm as well, which would be their answer to Xbox Game Pass.
Yep, that's what we're talking about, yeah.
Yep. And
Improving
then
that.
we have God of War, Horizon, and Spider-Man.
Horizon Zero Dawn getting a trilogy now, I think would be good.
Trilogy.
They just released the DLC for the second one, didn't they? Because I know that there was a lot of discourse about that.
So there was a lot of discourse about the DLC. I think they may announce it today.
I can't really find anything else, actually. So, I mean, in about less than 45 minutes, if you guys have time, I know that there are quite a few journalism platforms that will be showing the showcase, especially because we do not have E3 anymore. If you want to be able to get some of that game hype
Yeah, this is the
and
one to
release
watch.
hype,
Yep.
this would be one to watch.
No, I wasn't thinking of Wes Anderson as the Hideo Kojima. Wes Anderson's far more clever than Hideo Kojima. Which companies do they buy who can produce exclusives? They own a bunch of first-party studios. I forget who. But mostly Sony works out exclusive deals. But that was something that I read this morning, and we didn't do it as a full topic because there's just not enough information. A lot of people are expecting that Sony is going to make a major acquisition soon. Now that it's looking like the the Activision Blizzard deal is going through, there's a lot of belief that Sony is going to suck up one of the major studios.
Yes, well, especially because they have let a couple of their other studios go, which has been kind of sad to watch.
There should be a TikTok trend for Kojima, like the Wes Anderson trend. I would like that. That would be hilarious. I don't even know where I would start with that. Yeah, I don't know. Spider-Man 2, I'm looking forward to. Wolverine, I'm cautiously optimistic.
I'm so excited for it. Okay, so when I was a young baby gamer, I got my hands on an Xbox game that I played on my shiny new Xbox 360. Sorry, X-Men game on my shiny new Xbox 360. And the only character I actually enjoyed playing was Wolverine. So the fact that they're making now a Wolverine game.
Wolverine was one of my favorite characters in the comic books growing up, and I will tell you why. In the comic books, canonically, not the Hugh Jackman Wolverine, but the canonical Wolverine in the comic books is like 5'3". And I, as a vertically challenged person, since I was young,
you were able to like have that representation.
That was literally. I was like, look at Wolverine. He's a small, he's
small and angry
and ferocious. So that was why. That was why I loved Wolverine. So I'm cautiously optimistic about a Wolverine game. Do we know who the publisher is on that?
It's the.
I was disappointed in Midnight Suns, which had Wolverine in it.
I had their studio up. Hold on. And Kelsey, I actually had a PlayStation 1 when I was very baby. I just, unfortunately, was not able to play.
Will the Wolverine game take place in the same universe versus the Spider-Man game? I doubt it. I don't think Sony's is in the.
I think it's Incognito.
Is in the realm of trying to cross those over.
No, Insomniac.
Insomniac.
Insomniac game.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I was initially hyped about it, because I have had a very, very interesting relationship with Insomniac games, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be really, really good. Somebody's asking about where we started this game. I was the first one I owned was a NES. The first one I played was an Atari. So.
I got to play my babysitter's Sega and Atari, but we had a PlayStation 1.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm really interested in. I'm super curious how far they're going to take the story. Is this what I'm concerned about is I want Rebirth to be the rest of it. And what I don't want is, and I could see them doing this, I could see Rebirth being the third of Final Fantasy VII, and then another game having to be released to finish it off, which is going to really, really make me upset.
It's going to be a trilogy.
Supplement on whatever mobile device they come out with.
0.5.
Yes. And again, I loved the Final Fantasy VII remake. I thought it was so good. I love what they did with it. So again, I am cautiously optimistic about 16. I really want to play. Yeah, that's that. So maybe we'll do a special, shorter Super Show tomorrow. We'll look at the PlayStation Showcase and see what we get out of it.
Yeah, we could always do a reaction video after the fact, just to make sure. Again, the reason why we're not doing a live reaction video is because they actually put out messaging ahead of time, warning streamers to be aware that there is copyrightable material in there. And quite frankly, I know that myself, Alex, and producer Pete do not want to deal with DMCA takedowns, nor do we really want to try and figure out how to go around those.
No, I've worked very hard.
Yes.
Yes.
Pete works very hard, and we don't want to make his work even harder.
Yes, exactly.
Juice, if you want to know the answer to that question about Wolverine taking place in the same universe as the Spider-Man game, I would recommend tuning into the PlayStation Showcase that is at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard.
No, 1 p.m. Pacific.
Sorry, Pacific. What time?
In 30 minutes.
It's
Time
in 30
is
minutes-ish.
fun.
All
Yeah,
right.
Whatever. Time.
Moving on. Let's actually take one of the chat topics for our next one, and we can do this as another quarter topic. Want to talk about Magic the Gathering Standard. Why extend it to a 3-year rotation? Would be more money to be made with a shorter cycle tournament support, so to keep with the newer format. So for those that don't know, what everybody's talking about right now is up until very recently the standard. So there's various formats for Magic. There's Standard, Modern, Pioneer, Pauper, and Commander. Those are the 5 biggest standards for Magic the Gathering. Standard included only the sets. It's a 60-card constructed deck. It was only the sets from the prior 2 years. Right. So it was a pretty fast rotation on what was going on. What Magic has done recently is they've extended that out now to a 3-year rotation on Standard. Right.
I'm wondering if this is kind of in tandem with them kind of slowing down on printing core sets as well.
I think that definitely is true. I think that's part of it. I really honestly think that they've seen a lack of popularity in Standard because it's such a fast rotation.
Yes.
Right? I think by extending the rotation, what they're hoping is more people will play Standard because it broadens the pool of cards you have to draw from for building those decks. I know for our store, one of the issues that we've had people come to us with and go, we don't play Standard because there's just not enough sets to build the types of decks that we want to build.
Right.
It's one of the reasons Commander is so popular because it's not set limited. I mean, do you think so? You think probably slowing down on the stuff?
Yes. I mean,
you think it's just trying to make it better, more popular?
Yes, I think that there has to words. I do think that there has something to be said about like making these accessible for those who are still in the game but not getting into the newer sets as well. Because you do see kind of a drop-off with the older players and their reticence in coming into these newer sets. I can think of like 5 people off the top of my head here at the store who have been like, nah, I'm a pass on that, and like they're still sitting there sorting through their cards, and they have so many. So for them to expand that is good. I actually saw, and this is going to be a little bit of a diversion, but I do think it's kind of funny. In the Magic groups that I am in on Facebook for the store, there was a very large hubbub made about some Standard cards being banned. And it was, just Rakdos and stuff like that. And the person who made this leak, so to speak, came out on Reddit and admitted that they had made a false leak to see what would happen with the player base and test the waters on what cards should be banned.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
The more I find out about it, I will let you guys know if we can. It's just been very interesting, especially because you have a lot of newer players who are coming in and being like, I just got these cards, why can't I play them? And a lot of older players being like, oh yeah, those cards are trash, we don't want them.
So the player base wants a broader amount of cards. Wouldn't that make it harder to release newer sets and make an impact? And card players want to chase and spend money. You'd think so. The thing is I don't think Magic has a good sense of how to push that evolution of Magic forward. There's a bunch of, and we talked about this a little bit last week on the show, which is Games Workshop, Magic, they've all kind of got the same problem, which is once the games are this old and this developed, it becomes extremely an extremely high bar, and I should say it's perceived to be a very high bar to get into the system.
I mean, yes. I mean, look at Warhammer.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a new player, we don't start a new player for Warhammer on an actual Warhammer campaign. What we do is we recommend they go play Kill Team first because it's the same easy.
Same-ish, yep.
Yeah. Like you can get into the game, understand the mechanics, and then get into Warhammer if you'd like.
This is also why I say Warhammer is cheaper.
Yes.
It is easier to keep up with the meta and cheaper to keep up with the meta in Warhammer than it is in Magic, for sure.
Well, and I do think that I'm wondering if this is going to signal a slowdown in printing and set push for Magic.
I don't think...
because there's been so much complaint about how fast their rotation has been these last couple of years.
I have not had a chance to look to see if the 2024 release schedule's been dropped yet. I don't know. And so that may be something I have to do some looking into, and maybe we'll do a video about that, is the 2024 release schedule. The release schedule for this year is already out. We know what's coming.
Yes, and we've already had to put in our orders as well.
So Lord of the Rings comes out in June. July is Commander Masters, and that's the next set, like the epilogue, the March of the Machines Aftermath epilogue, that I'm nervous about that one.
Yes.
I'm really nervous about that set. Pisses me off to knowing that a card is no longer in play.
So Odious, I definitely understand that, and I will tell you that...
this is why people play Commander.
Not only that, but there is a reason why you have a difference in tournament play and kitchen table play, right?
Yep.
Nobody's going to care if you bring out a technically banned card if you've already okayed it with the group that you're playing with.
Yep.
That has the same, like, that is to be said about proxies, that is to be said about any other cards that you want to play that may be jank. Clearing it with the people you're playing it with will be so much better and still make it so that you are able to play the cards that you have, even if they're out of rotation or whatever.
It's been like one a month this year for releases. Yes, they've released something every month this year.
And
every single month.
The sentiment that I have seen from a lot of players has just been like, too much, stop it.
Yeah. Okay. It's been like 1 month to also, don't forget to come to the store. We have draft tonight, and we have a great commander ladder on Fridays, and we're going to be adding Oathbreaker to Mondays. And so there's a lot going on with our Magic community. If you want to know what Magic events we're running, go to gamersheavenpnw.com and check it out.
For our live event schedule. We also do have our singles operation up and running. We are tweaking it to make sure that we can make sure that it is easy for everybody to use. So stay tuned.
Get their
we'll
stuff.
have some new news about that shortly.
Okay. All right. Next topic today. We saw this. We kind of planned on doing this last week, which is there was a lot of discussion online about the lack of critical analysis in tabletop RPGs, especially when compared to how much critique and criticism and how much work there is in video games, right? And the specific stuff that I saw was, how can we have all these critics and stuff like this for video games, but not for tabletop RPGs? And the industry is big enough where we should have some sort of critical analysis.
Yes.
Oh boy. No, it's not. So I'm gonna be. No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not big enough. The tabletop RPG is not big enough to support it, in my opinion. And there's another reason why. We're going to get into this in a second. This is going to get salty. Go ahead.
So this industry is not like the video game industry, right? Where we have a lot of different developer teams all working on things and bringing them out. Which hold the anger there for a second, because I do know that we have a lot of independent developers. We have, for TTRPGs, we have a lot of people that have a lot of passion for these games and literally live, breathe, eat, and sleep making these games, right? I'm sitting right next to one. However, the industry that tabletop RPGs consistently exists in is one that is held up by like 4 major developers, give or take, right? Ish. So, and you have one that consistently throws elbows and Pinkertons.
They throw Pinkertons.
So it is very difficult to be able to do critical analysis, especially on this industry right now, because you are either going to be punching up at the bigger developers and possibly get punched back down on, or you're going to be punching sideways or down at the indie creators, which is not conducive to making more creative things.
So this is where I will go. 2 reasons. In order for there to be deep critical analysis within the tabletop RPG industry, you have to have professionals who are doing that analysis.
Yes.
Those people need to make money. Those people need to live, and you bloody people won't pay for it. So that's number one.
I mean,
Straight
yeah.
up. If you won't pay for the service in which somebody is going to give you
critical analysis
and
with
build a
notes
publication
and facts.
and build this stuff,
Yep.
sorry, it's just not going to happen. Number two, this industry is about this big. Okay? It's tiny. This big. And unfortunately, to a degree, and fortunately to a degree, and speaking as somebody who's been around the cons and the publishing and things like that, everybody knows everybody, right? And so consequently, what ends up happening is, let's say that I critique, Taylor writes the Wildling tabletop RPG. Okay? I'm not saying Taylor, by the way, caveat, I'm not saying Taylor would actually do this, but I've seen this happen in this industry. Taylor writes the Wildling tabletop RPG. Okay? Jim Bob Scott, he writes a critical analysis of that,
my game,
right? And maybe overall he thinks it's pretty good,
but might be crunchy.
But may make some
recommendations
or some critiques on that. Most of the people in this industry, the way they will react to that person is, fuck you, you're blacklisted. I will not talk to you. I will not deal with you. And by the way, I may send my fans after you, right? And that's straight up what's happening. Lately, the tabletop RPG industry has been especially
toxic,
vitriolic toward one another. They're eating each other.
Yes.
Right? And so the reason there's no critical analysis is, if a writer at IGN says, hey, this game's a 6 out of 10 and here's why, that's not going to end their career.
No.
Right? But when Jim Bob Scott writes a semi-critical thing and says Wildling the RPG is a 6 out of 10, Wildling the RPG creator Taylor, who knows 7 other creators because we all know each other, right, goes, don't talk to that guy, don't send him review copies, he sucks, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's what happens. That's legit what happens in this industry.
With that said, I personally would not do that. I would probably meme on that, and that's why I'm the elderly purple-haired person.
Taylor wouldn't do that. I'm saying, and I'm not saying Taylor would do this. I'm saying
this is an example of what happens.
Within the tabletop RPG industry, this is what happens, right? And so, this is where it is. Yeah, you'd think press and studios would be trying to pump each other up. And then we get to the second piece of it, is that if you write something positive, and they think they're probably up, because everybody in this industry knows each other, right? Now you're a shill for this person. You're just saying that because they're your friend. It's not actually a critical analysis. Like, that's the flip side to this coin. Unfortunately, that's just how it happens.
I'm wondering if it wouldn't be best for critical analysis of TTRPGs to exist completely off the online space. Like, if we did not have, I know, and it was very possibly a constructive space, right?
Well, I remember it.
Yeah. I think that because of the way that our fan bases and content creators both access the internet and create those parasocial relationships, I think that it makes it very much more difficult.
Can you say that one more time for those in the back?
Huh?
Parasocial?
Parasocial relationships?
Yep.
So even as a content creator myself, I've streamed on Twitch for quite a long time. It is very daunting, especially when you start creating a community that very much absolutely supports you. Let's go. Like, that's great, and I love it. But also there is a darker side to that, because there are times where instead of feeling protected or defended by those people because somebody says something about you in an offhanded way or whatever, that you have to instead go, okay guys, mob mentality, calm down.
Yeah.
Because you are attacking somebody over this
X, Y,
comment
and Z.
that I personally do not feel is worth it.
And this is where this whole thing has fallen apart a lot lately. Somebody in the chat says the interwebs is how word gets out these days. And exactly.
Legit.
And here's the thing, as a tabletop RPG publisher and as somebody who does this job, and Taylor talks about this, my wife talks to me about this all the time, I have to exist perpetually online. Like, here's the thing, it's super hard. It's super draining a lot of the times. It's also why I have to watch stupid thing. Yes, in fact, somebody else brought up the AEG stuck their foot in their mouth. Yes, and that's kind of part of what I'm talking about. And the problem is we exist in this online space. And Taylor and I were actually talking about this incident before, and I'm not going to go into deep diving. And in fact, he just issued a statement on this, an apology. I think that I understand what he was trying to say. Twitter was not the location to say that. And also, you're typing on Twitter on your phone, and you're doing these long things, and you're not going to get the message out that you're trying to get out.
Well, it's like trying to have nuance in text messages, right?
Bingo. Parasocial relationships. A bunch of people have been like, Para, what's it? A parasocial relationship occurs in this way. And I'm actually going to use T-Swift fans.
Yeah, Swifties are actually a very good thing. Don't come after us, Swifties. We have no beef.
Swifties, and Taylor Swift is an expert at this,
Yes.
right? She has developed a strong parasocial. And what that means is every hardcore super T-Swiftie fan thinks that they are just one meeting away from being Taylor's best friend.
Right.
Right? It's having this pseudo-social relationship that is one-sided with somebody that you see online, that you have this or exists in fan creating a connection with the person like an influencer.
Yes.
And it's the fan creating that. Now here's the thing. A lot of people, like Taylor Swift, a lot of influencers, they are attempting to cultivate parasocial relationships to a level because that's what keeps people watching their content.
Yes, but it takes a lot of energy.
It does.
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of boundary enforcement, and it also can turn very sour very fast if you are not intelligent about it.
So anyway, that's why it's very difficult to have all this critical analysis. And again, the tabletop RPG industry is a good example of this. There's a lot of very parasocial relationships.
Yes, and very tightly connected people within the TTRPG space. I mean, I got to table or help, do the Identico booth at ECCC, and I cannot count the amount of people who came through on those days and were like, hey, how are Mallow and Alex? Like, where are they? Are they up doing the RPG right now? Like, should I go and run the game with them? And like, they will stop by, and they have known each other for years because it has been such a well-established place. It's not a bad thing. No, it's difficult. It's difficult because we definitely exist in a space where having reasonable critique that is constructive, right, is not always taken as such. It is taken as a personal slight, which is very difficult to delineate between, especially online and especially through Twitter. Yes. My goodness. So that's something we're gonna leave the tabletop RPG one. Okay. So actually, on this last one that came in through the chat, imagine the next level AI of influencers. So what I want you to do is we're not going to do it on this show. Okay. We're not. Okay. What I want you to do is go follow Identico. Yes. Right, on YouTube and Twitch. The other show that I do with the Mallow Man, it's on our rundown tonight, specifically the Amaranth AI thing. Yes. We will be discussing that. That's not a topic that we're going to hit. Taylor and I did discuss it in the pre-show. And we're gonna move away from that one right now. If you want to know what I think about this and what kind of our team does, go watch us on the Identico channel on Twitch or YouTube at 7 p.m. Pacific time tonight, and we will be discussing specifically that topic. We talked for quite a long time about whether or not that we should do that, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna actually we're gonna come see us tonight on Identico. Go watch iDad, it's awesome. That's where the Rage Red is, and I know some of you have seen in the Twitch chat. Yes, my wife will change the colors in my background in the studio at the house. Pretty great. So when I get on a tear. There is that middle one. There is that middle one. Yeah, I actually think. Yeah. So here's the thing. So somebody asked, how do we feel about new FPS games that simulate a cop's body cam? The thing is first off, this is not the style of game that I typically play because I don't play those types of shooters.
how do I feel? I feel about anything, video games are art, right? And I feel that, again, depending on the style of art, that it is, a lot of it's left to interpretation of both the artist and the person perceiving that art. If done properly, and if done in a thoughtful way, thoughtful is the word I want to use.
Okay. Mindful?
In a thoughtful, mindful, thank you very much. In a thoughtful, mindful way, then I think it could be an interesting concept to do. I don't know enough specifically about a lot of those. I've seen some stuff on them, and therefore, I have not touched it because it has not struck me as the type of game I want to consume.
I understand.
You?
And again, I also do not play games like this. I stopped playing, Call of Duty and Battlefield and all of those quite a long time ago, just because it started becoming a lot.
Yeah.
Especially with,
Super
my
lot.
personal experiences and having lived through quite a few very dicey active shooter situations and stuff like that.
Go ahead, Pete.
Pete?
My question is, do you think that that's the new style because previously we didn't know what it really looked like, the camera-wise, to have the gun held in your hand, but now with body cams, we actually know what realism of that perspective looks
Body
like.
cams look very much like first-person shooters.
Yes.
Yeah. But now we actually have an example and we can model it after that.
I think that that's why it's become a thing.
Yeah.
Again, if done thoughtfully and mindfully, I think it could be an interesting critique on state violence. It could be an interesting analysis of state violence.
Could also be an interesting analysis of a lot of the things that happen behind the scenes that we do not get to see.
Yes. Somebody in the chat said I wouldn't try to cancel them, but I wouldn't play them. And I think that's...
So it kind of hits a little too close to home for me because it also reminds me of the game that folks came out with that was a simulation of the Columbine shooting.
Oh, yeah.
And that really, especially because that happened in my home state, and I grew up with quite a lot of drills and safety
Because you grew up not far from Columbine.
No, I didn't. I was very close to that. I have, my step siblings were literally, the school next to. It is, especially with everything, kind of a little too close to home, and it's one of the reasons why I very much, play fantasy and sci-fi and stuff like that, because I don't have that connection to the real life.
And see, I'm kind of in the same boat. There, for example, I have a personal rule. I don't watch films about wars that I was in.
Yes.
That
is reasonable as hell.
It's just a personal thing. If the movie takes place in the global war on terror, I don't watch the film. I just don't watch it.
I don't blame you.
And again, it's not because I think they're bad movies. I've seen clips from them. Some of them look pretty good, and I have no issue with that. I just don't want to watch it. It's
You've
just
already
a personal thing.
experienced it.
And again, I don't see any reason to consume that type of media. Again, like somebody in the chat said, I wouldn't
cancel it.
I wouldn't cancel it. I'm not like, don't make these films. And maybe I'll think differently of it in 20 years when I'm 65. Who knows?
Hopefully when you're 65, we won't have these things as social issues.
Right. But it's just, again, it's a personal thing. We have to be careful about the media that we consume and how we consume it. And I think we need to be mindful of it. And I think anybody who's creating something like that should be mindful. Somebody in the chat, please give me a happier topic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was really, really heavy.
We are not going to end on that heavy of a topic. Okay? Somebody give me something cheery to talk about.
Somebody asked what Identico is in YouTube chat, by the way. Do you want to give them a rundown, or do you want me to give them a rundown of Eve Tamale and all of the fun exploding tamales?
Well, what I can say, if you would like to go to youtube.com/Identico and look at the Angel City Stories playlist, you can see Taylor and Gator Pete in an actual play of the Identico tabletop RPG. I think we went
Yeah.
50-something episodes.
Yeah.
Taylor kills people with tamales.
Whoa. I kill machines with tamales. Thank you. I shoot people with shotguns.
So there is a whole thing there. There's a second playlist there, which is the Chaos Inc. show
And
that
they're
we are
awesome.
doing right now.
Very espionage, very, like, so well thought out.
We also have some one-shots in there, or some short ones called Deep in the Heart of Texas, and some other things.
Yes.
And then Taylor will actually be coming back
Alongside Pete
alongside Pete in a new stream
for Identico.
for Identico soon. And again, watch us tonight on youtube.com/Identico or twitch.tv/Identico. Because I think Mallow and I are going to be previewing that tonight. When is
Very
Identico
exciting.
coming back to the store? Probably after I get back from doing government things.
Government.
I have to do some,
So that's about mid-June.
yes.
If you want to or are interested in running your own Identico table, please just let us know. We'll help facilitate. Do not ask me about the rules because I don't follow them.
Yes. Let's talk about type of events we run at the store. The type of events, we do everything. Again,
Yes.
go to gamersheavenpnw.com and you can see all of the events. We do TCGs, we do miniatures, we do tabletop RPGs, we do video games, we do video game tournaments. In fact, I think we got a Smash tournament this weekend.
Yes.
We have Street Fighter coming up. We have Halo coming up. We have a whole bunch of stuff coming very, very soon. And it's all, the calendar is live updated.
Yes, it is. And if you have any questions, you can always message us on Facebook, on Discord, whatever, so that we can give you either the rundown or help you understand what is going on. Most of our social media is updated. I try not to flood everybody's feeds with everything that we have
Flood
going
their
on
feeds.
every single day because we do have a lot. But if you're ever interested in seeing an event showcased or whatever, I am always happy to make that happen as well.
Warhammer Leagues.
Warhammer Leagues,
Yes.
Kill Team Leagues.
We have a creation station where you can put together your gunpla or your miniatures for any gaming need you have.
Yep.
We also do have a selection of the paints that we offer in store, so you can try them out before you buy them. And we do help you learn how to paint as well.
Yes.
Independent TTRPGs, plenty of those.
Yes, many indie games. We actually have had Playtest Northwest here quite a bit. They come through and test out their new games, and then we also speak with the developers of those games and have those games in our stores. We have a lot of independent TTRPGs, which we do have other people run tables for. And one of them actually is on every Friday night or every other Friday night, depending. That's The Well, and the creator, Peter Schaefer, runs that, and it's fantastic and only played with D6s. Their character sheet is literally a fill-in-the-bubble sheet, and it's awesome.
We have every kind of stuff, and we try to get the creators in as much as possible to run their games.
Yes.
So yes, community streams. We
Try
plan
to
those
do them.
we're trying to get them down to weekly now.
Yes.
Believe it or not, it's actually from a deciding the best content we can create for you. It's actually one of the hardest streams for us to plan.
It is also kind of difficult because we are trying to fill a time slot in the evening, and oftentimes we do not see many people there.
Yes.
So if you do want us to do more community streams and you have either a game you'd like us to play with you guys, or you want to just show up and just let us know, like, please tell us, because we have been doing community streams now for the last 3 weeks, and I'm pretty sure I've only seen like 5 to 10 people, and
Yeah.
most of the time they just kind of stop in and pop out, which is totally okay.
It's a
Like,
good time.
lurk all you want. It's always a good time, and we do enjoy like playing those games with everybody, but it often does feel like we don't see as many people playing with us.
As we'd
doesn't-
like.
It doesn't feel as a community as I want it to feel.
Griff,
Hard.
Taylor has played Tears of the Kingdom. Have you made it any further in Tears of the Kingdom? We'll do that, and then I think we have
Here's
one more question.
my summary of Tears of the Kingdom right now for my gameplay. I climbed a lot of cliffs. I kept dying. I'm staying away from mobs right now because they're too damn powerful for me. I tried to make Long Bridge so that I could go and get one of those towers for the map, and I died a lot. So I've kind of just ran around and helped the sign guy a lot. And
Nice.
and looked at the petroglyphs because that's about all I can do. It's not it's a really fun game, and I do very much enjoy it. I've been making Pete play for the last few nights, just so that he can catch up. He finally got off of Tutorial Island, and is shaking his head right now because he had a hell of a time solving a puzzle last night that literally he was big mad at this puzzle, and it was so funny. We love it though.
Am I the only one who went off Tears of the Kingdom because of the crafting? It's literally the reason why I'm not playing it. Is I think that I would get so lost in the crafting and the building.
That's exactly why Pete.
That I would never stop playing it. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Pete's answering questions in there. Yes, we've been open since December 2021. We did some kind of test streams in late 2022, but really this format of the show and YouTube and everything started in late February, early March of this year.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll continue to improve on it because that's what we want to do for you guys too.
Yeah, send us suggestions. If there's any type of programming you would like to see, either here on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, all those places.
Or in store.
Or in store.
But warning, if you ask us for an event and you don't show up to the event you asked for, I'm going to be big mad at you.
Remember, you can also join our Discord on our website at Heaven PNW. There's a link to the Discord at the bottom of the page, which means you can do that. Hardest thing about opening a store. Do I need to pick one?
There are multiple hard things about opening a store.
The hardest thing about opening a store is honestly trying to balance the business side of it, which is we have to make money to pay our employees and pay rent and do the things that we want to do with trying to build the community aspect of it.
Yes.
And that has been probably the most difficult thing about doing that. I had an hour-long meeting with Andrew last night. We've got a couple more minutes, so we can talk about this.
Before everybody leaves us for the PlayStation.
Yep. Well, before we leave for the PlayStation one, let's be honest. So that's probably the most difficult thing. There's just so many things when you start that you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, do you want me to rattle off this list of like things that I know particularly myself?
Go.
Okay, ready about just gird your loins. So hardest thing about opening a store, especially if you're opening a retail store that has community space as well as a food option or boba cafe. Making sure that your suppliers are able to get everything to you on time, making sure your distributors are ready to work with you and do not take your allocations last minute, especially after you have guaranteed those allocations to your community. Making sure that you communicate with your community and also provide them a safe place to play, and making sure that you are not only making sure that the personalities there do not clash, but also that if there are clashes, you are handling it in a professional way. Making sure that you make enough events to continue to make sure that people come back, because believe it or not, a lot of the time we hope that people just come in on their own volition, which is very much the case for a lot of people. However, there are some times where we only see some faces if there's a big event, which I get it. Adult life is very busy. Making sure that we have enough stock on the shelves, especially when we're balancing making sure that we have the money for those events and also paying our employees and also getting the stock for the kitchen and also getting it's a lot. And also there is something to be said about, making sure that you have established systems in order to organize all of this, and making sure that everybody uses those systems as well.
We must love working with GW. They do none of that. Oh, GW.
Phil has a good rapport with GW.
We do. We still have some issues with GW, and even Phil.
Well, yes.
There was also a point where Phil was literally calling London, because GW had pissed him off that bad.
Yes.
And then they screwed that up even. There is a long list of things. It is a labor of love.
Yes.
It is not easy.
No.
It's a thing.
If you've ever seen it, like circus shots of that person who is on a unicycle balancing the spinning plates and also juggling balls at the same time, that is a very apt description of opening and running a game store,
Yep.
especially if you are trying to make sure that you have a good community interaction and also make sure that you are providing what the people who come to your store need to continue to come back.
And this is also why we a lot of what we do is we try to diversify our offerings here at the store. That's why we have
Yes.
video games. That's why we have esports tournaments. The tabletop industry is
Interesting.
it's a challenge.
As we have already covered
Many
earlier
times.
this section
Earlier today. And in previous shows, the tabletop industry is hard sometimes. It's very difficult to work within this industry. It's
With all that said, like
I don't regret opening the store.
Yeah, there are no regrets here. It is very much one of those, you wake up and you choose to do this because you know that you are going to be able to continue to facilitate the wholesome interactions of people literally like going out and hanging out
There's-
and like after the
there's-
store has
there's-
closed and stuff like that. It's wonderful. It
There's
really
been
is.
some wonderful experiences in opening the store. We have seen people make friends.
Yes.
We have seen people who, especially coming out of COVID,
Yes.
who hadn't really had a lot, or people that moved either right before or during COVID to
Heyo.
the area, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have a place. Now they have friends who will help them move, who will do all
Yeah.
this stuff. And,
Yes.
and it has very much changed people's lives. And that's the stuff that does that. We have young people who didn't have a lot of friends and didn't know how to insert into these communities.
And are learning how to work on their social skills
Especially-
and flourishing.
Yep, especially in that area. That's the upside. That's the good part about doing this is you get
Yeah.
occasionally those wins, and sometimes we forget to celebrate those wins in the
Of
moment.
course.
It's something that
Everything
we
is a whirlwind.
we have to remind ourselves to celebrate the win.
Yes.
So there you go. Pete, you look like you want to say something. You've got something.
I
It's
mean-
coming.
I've learned a lot about business from this, but every time I think about it or have to respond to comments, like that's honestly been the coolest thing is just seeing the amount of friendships
Yeah.
that have been made and seeing so many people come out of their shell and grow. Like people that I thought would never speak to anybody are now they flourish.
Social
There's
butterflies.
here.
There's-
It's wonderful.
There's certain people that immediately come to mind on that one.
Well, and I've seen people who have come in and have had certain outlooks on life that weren't great, who have learned a lot and been able to not only educate themselves, but they have took it upon themselves to start educating others to make sure that like they get to feed into that growth. And it's really cool. It really is.
All right, that's where we're going to end today's show. Remember, go to
Love
gamersheavenpnw.com to find out more
Yeah.
about what we're going to do and what we're doing. There's lots of stuff. We love you all.
Yeah. Very much so.
Drink water.
Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. Get some sunshine if you're out here in the Pacific Northwest. There's a little bit of that vitamin D waiting
We've been-
outside for you. Go
We've been
touch
cycling
grass.
through. Yes.
While we have it.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye. It's the ending song.
We like
got
to
the
sing
ending
things song.
song.
Do, do, do,
Do,
do,
do, do, do, do, do, do, do.